The forest was still, too still. Lena's breath caught in her throat as something moved in the shadows just beyond the reach of the moonlight. She wasn't alone. A voice whispered from the darkness. "You shouldn't have come. The wild doesn't take kindly to strangers." Hello, I'm about to tell you a story, one of adventure, danger, and the mysteries of the wild. This is the tale of Lena and the journey that would change everything she thought she knew about nature and herself. Lena had always been drawn to the unknown, but nothing could prepare her for the forest that now stood before her. The trees were ancient, their thick trunks twisted with time, and the air felt heavy with secrets. The village elders had warned her for years, "Stay away from the wild, it doesn't welcome outsiders." But the pull was too strong. Lena couldn't ignore the call, a whisper that had been growing louder with each passing day. And now here she was, at the edge of the forest, the place that had claimed the lives of more than one adventurer before her. She gripped the strap of her pack tightly and stepped into the shadows of the trees. It wasn't long before she heard it, the rustle of leaves just behind her. Lena's heart raced. She spun around, but no one was there. She wasn't sure whether it was the wind or something more, but she didn't wait to find out. She pushed forward, the path growing steeper and more treacherous as the forest swallowed the last of the daylight. The whispers of the wild seemed to grow louder, urging her deeper into the heart of the unknown. By the time night fell, Lena had ventured farther than she ever thought she would. The moon barely pierced the dense canopy above, casting everything in a silvery glow. It was then that she saw him, an old man, draped in a cloak of leaves, standing in her path. His eyes were sharp, watching her every move. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice gravely. "The forest has no place for those who do not belong." Lena took a step back, but something about him felt different. Not threatening, but wise, like someone who had seen the forest change over time. "I have to find him," she said, her voice steady, though her pulse raced. "Theo, he came here days ago. I know he's somewhere in this forest." The old man's eyes softened for a moment before he nodded, slowly. "You'll need more than courage to survive here. The wild takes what it wants." With that, he turned and disappeared into the trees, leaving Lena alone in the darkness. The deeper Lena went, the stranger the forest became. The air grew thicker, the sounds more distant. It felt as though the trees themselves were watching, listening. Each step felt heavier, as though the earth itself was testing her resolve. Then, a sudden roar split the silence, a growl so deep it vibrated through her bones. Before she could react, a massive shape lunged from the shadows, its eyes glowing in the night. A creature unlike anything Lena had seen, part beast, part shadow. She stumbled back, barely managing to dodge its snapping jaws. Heart racing, she drew her knife and held it before her, her only defense against the wild. But as quickly as it had appeared, the creature vanished into the trees, leaving only a trail of claw marks on the ground. Lena stood frozen, unsure of whether it had been real or a product of the forest's tricks. Lena's journey continued, each day more grueling than the last. She found herself losing track of time, unsure whether it was hours or days that had passed since she first stepped into the forest. It wasn't until she reached a clearing, bathed in the soft light of 1,000 fireflies, that she realized the truth. Theo was here. The markings on the trees, the strange symbols carved into the rocks, all pointed to him. But when she called his name, the only response was the whisper of the wind through the branches. Suddenly, the air grew cold and the forest fell silent. A figure appeared before her, cloaked in shadows. "It's too late for him," the figure whispered, its voice barely audible above the rustling of the leaves. "But not for you." Lena's heart skipped a beat as the figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face. It was Theo, though not as she remembered him. His eyes were hollow, his skin pale, as if the forest itself had claimed him. "Lena," Theo's voice rasped, "you must leave now. The forest takes everything. Once it has you, it doesn't let go." Tears welled up in Lena's eyes as she reached out to him, but before she could touch him, he stepped back, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Run," he pleaded. "It's too late for me, but not for you." The ground beneath her feet began to tremble. Lena's breath caught in her throat as the forest seemed to come alive around her, trees bending and shifting, as if the wilderness itself had a mind of its own. Theo's image flickered, his voice fading into the wind. Go, Lena. Find the heart of the forest. Only there can you save yourself. Lena didn't hesitate. She ran, her legs burning with exhaustion as the wild pursued her every step. This sets the stage for an intense, mysterious journey into the wild, where Lena must navigate both the dangers of the forest and the transformation of her friend Theo. The story could continue to explore Lena's challenges, her discoveries, and the forces of nature that shape her destiny.